This is the Ecwid e-commerce show with your host, Jesse Ness, along with Richard O'Tay.
All right, Richie, happy Friday again.
It is that time, man. They fly by quick, don't they?
It does. I know we probably start off our podcast like this all the time, but we don't get a chance to do this every time. It's Friday for us, so we get to talk about e-commerce. We get to talk to a merchant today too. So always fun to hear what merchants are doing, what their kind of challenges, and hopefully sharing some knowledge with everybody out there, everybody listening.
And this will be an interesting one too, because not only is he a merchant, but he also is a developer too that works on Ecwid stores as well. So we might get some interesting additional insights, which will be nice.
And we're going to find about a new hobby / sport. So, maybe with that intro, let's bring him on. Tony Varelli, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing good. Doing good. Well, I'll introduce your first company here. I can't even say it. 3D locksport. So hidden in that is a sport. I think we could probably start off with letting everybody know what is locksport.
Sure. So locksport, put simply, is the picking of locks for fun. At its core, locksport is a puzzle box. So all locks are puzzles. On the inside, how they work, different locks open different ways, but they at their core, they all have the same concept. There's on your average lock, you have pins. The pins are of different lengths. When you look at your key, that's why all the keys look different. They have different jagged teeths on them because the key depths are different inside the pin depths are different inside the keys. And you're going in kind of blind. You stick a pick into the keyway and you can't really see what's going on in there, and you feel around with it and you try to find the right combination to get those locks open. And it's got a background tied to the infosec community, or what you could call like the hacker community of computer security. That hacker mindset of making computers do things that they're not supposed to do really travels over and migrates into the locksport world as well. And if you've ever read any books or heard any stories from the old MIT hacker days, I don't think you can hear a story without lockpicking being involved within that. So yeah, the locksport community is just people who like to pick locks together, explore vulnerabilities within locks, and report them to the lock manufacturers. It's just like white hat hackers do with bug bounties, where they'll go to a website, find a vulnerability, submit that bug so that it can be secured. Locksporters do the same thing. We find vulnerabilities within locks. We report those vulnerabilities to the manufacturers, and we cross our fingers and hope that they choose to fix those vulnerabilities.
No, I love it. I actually, when I was talking to Richie before the pod, I was like, I think this lock picking has it's like the physical before computers, hackers were lock pickers, right? And you've confirmed it. Like it is just sort of people like to mess around with something and figure out how to break into it, and there's an art to it and a science. So yeah, I love it, and makes sense that you actually work in the web world and e-com, and because it's the same sort of curiosity, I think, like trying
Sure.
to like, hey, I want to figure out how to open this lock. I want to except even more so, you're more of a hacker in that world. So
yeah,
awesome.
So
now
I was just going to say, one of the things I'd like to kind of point out in that though, is we talked about the lock sport part of it. We didn't talk about the 3D part. And before we get into it, I just want to let people know why I'm bringing it up in this way. Is a lot of times when people are thinking about what they want to sell online, they don't realize how many times it actually might be of great benefit to pick something that you're very passionate about. And talking with Tony prior to this call, it sounds like that's exactly how he got started. And we'll hear a little bit more about that, but it was a passion that he had already. And sometimes people think that niche in their passion, it might be too small, but here we go. Not only is this about lock picking, we're going to get even smaller here. This is This is so why don't you tell us about the 3D part of locksport, Tony?
Sure. So I'm a founder of a small tech startup in my local town that's a nonprofit, and it was designed to teach technology to locals for free. And one of the emerging technologies at the time when we started it, I don't know, 5 years ago, I can't remember how long ago it was 3D printing. And we had made the decision that one of the things we absolutely wanted to have in that space was 3D printers. And before that, before we got those printers, I'd had no experience with 3D printing at all. It was still magic to me. And I mean, still to this day, it's magical. The fact that you press a button, you walk away, you come back, and there's an object sitting on a table. Um, and I I looked at all the tools and options, and you have to realize that Locksport crosses over in tools with locksmiths. So a lot of the tools you look for will normally be on websites for locksmiths, and some of those sites only sell to certified locksmiths for obvious security reasons. Um, and I got to thinking, I'm like, a lot of the stuff I want, I could probably design myself, and then I would find things that don't exist, and I'm like, well, let me see if I can find a way to make this work. Um, and if anyone that's listening to this is in Locksport and been in it for a while, you understand it's a lot like fishing. And what I mean by that is it can get very expensive very quickly, and you have way more stuff than you need. And no matter how much you have, if you don't do it enough and learn about it, you won't get any better. So it's one of those expensive hobbies that your wife yells at you that you're spending too much money on. Um, so I started thinking I can make these products for myself fairly cheap for the cost of the plastic because I already had access to 3D printers. So I taught myself 3D modeling and things along those lines, and I realized that there was a very big opportunity with 3D printing because I could quickly prototype and test new product ideas. And not only that, once I had one working, um, I could make production quality 3D printing, knowing once I got better at it and I understood the proper settings and configurations for printers and purchasing a nice enough printer, I realized that I could make high quality prints that would, you know, compete against injection molded products or mass produced products that were out there. And the benefit of 3D printing is I have the ability to customize on a per customer basis. So like on my website, I offer like 12 different colors, I think, that you can pick to have any item printed in. And if you want your name put on something or your logo put on something, I can do that. Whereas if you want any mass produced injection molding things, that would be thousands, if not tens of $1,000s to get new injection molds made for those things. So
Okay.
3D printing just is a great opportunity for anyone that takes the time to learn to do 3D modeling and printing because you can literally create anything you want, um, or take something that already exists and make the slight modifications that you think will make it better.
Yep. And you already had these printers too. So like,
Right.
so this is sort of, for people that do digital downloads and things like that. I know it's not free because it's still a physical product, but like it sort of has some reminiscent of that in that, like there's a lot of mental work that goes into the original creation, but each print after that, the marginal cost on that is minimal. I know it's not free, but
Right. Correct.
like you're putting in all the work up front and hopefully, getting the value over time. So, and just out of curiosity, like the plastic on this, I don't know if you like, or the materials that go into 3D printing, is
Mhm.
that pretty minimal or is it like, it's just plastic, right? Or am I
Right.
oversimplifying this?
So there's a lot of different plastics and materials you can print in.
Hmm.
Different plastics and materials have different pros and cons. I print almost everything I make in what's called PLA plastic. It's the most affordable. I mean, the jury's still out on how biodegradable it is, but of all the plastics, it's the least toxic. Um, like ABS has fumes that come off of it and things like that, where PLA doesn't. But yeah, I mean, a spool of filament of PLA, and that's at like 1 kilogram or what is that, 2.2 pounds, um, can cost you anywhere for the cheapest, lowest quality stuff about $12 for a kilogram, all the way up to $40 to $50 for a kilogram. Um, And the difference is manufacturing process. So one thing that's very important is tolerances, because you're shoving a small thin piece of plastic string, is the best way to put it, through a really tiny, extremely hot hole that's zero point 0.4 millimeters in diameter. Um, and if you have variations in the thickness of that piece of plastic, it can cause jams or inconsistencies in your prints. So I tend to go in the mid range where I'm paying between $20 to $35 a spool, because I'm not rapid prototyping. I'm creating prints that people want to have and they want them to last for a very long time.
Yep. Yep. Okay. No, I mean that just helps me kind of think about it as like a business opportunity, and
Right.
like I'm not trying to get you to be like drop your price on something. Like
No,
I get
but
it.
for
We,
example, you can get into a decent printer for your home for $300.
Mhm.
I go for higher end printers. I think my printers are about $1,000 to $1,200 a piece. But and I'm not trying to push any brands specifically, but for example, I use the Prusa uh, i3 Mark, what is it, Mark 3S, MK3S. That's the printers I have in my house. But for like $300, you can get into Ender, a Creality Ender Pro, I believe it is, for like $299. So if you're just interested in getting into 3D printing, you can definitely start out at a lower part, at least to start rapid prototyping parts, get ideas, see if this is something you're interested in, and then later on, you can always choose to upgrade to a higher quality printer for production purposes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's interesting for people. Like we get questions at Ecwid all the time, like, oh, I want to start a store, but I don't know what I want to sell. And, okay, there's a lot of options. There's print on demand. There's, anyway, but this is in a way you are printing on demand. It's just,
Yeah,
it's
I don't have
3D printing,
inventory. Right.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you don't have to buy, you don't have
Which,
to
if
worry
anyone's
about
ever been in retail before, not having inventory is fantastic.
it is. Yeah.
Definitely.
No mistakes, no closeouts, no dealing with customs and
Right.
shipping, and yeah. Ah, sounds fantastic, actually. Yeah. uh, okay, so yeah, so for people listening, 3D printing is an option, right? Like in probably whatever niche you're interested in. And Tony, that's what I like that, and Richie references, like this was your hobby, like you built this. I'm assuming this was a need you had for yourself, right? Like,
Correct. So I started printing things for myself that I knew I needed. For example, there's no real good option when you have all these lock picks. Imagine something about the size of a Sharpie, only flat. Um, Most people keep their lock picks in a case, a zipper case or a leather pouch or something. And every time you want to pick a lock, you go get this, you unzip it, you flip through it, you find the right one. But lockpick stands, people have been wanting for a long time. And what people used to do is buy like pencil holders, or they go to the office supply section of your big box store where you got your things that hold pens and paper clips and your sticky notes, and they would just modify those and use them for those. But I'm like, I want a specific item created for a specific need that I can organize in any way I want. Um, so I started modeling up uh, lockpick holders. Were the very first thing I ever created was a lockpick holder. It's just a stand that holds picks vertically, so I can see the tips, because each lockpick is a little bit different and has its own purpose. Um, and the cool thing I loved about 3D printing on top of it is as petty as this may sound, I could match my aesthetic. If I wanted to have a green or a black or a purple or a blue stand, I could make one. And not only that, I could color coordinate. I could put specific kind of picks in one color, so I know that stand has this type of pick in it, and this color pick or this color stand has something else in it. I could, at a glance, use it as a visual cue as to what I'm looking for quickly.
Yeah, you used a fishing analogy earlier. It's like, if once you get really into fishing, like you don't just throw stuff in one box, like you have a
Right.
tackle box and there's various little containers for each type of lure. And, this, there's a rhyme and reason to it, because when you're fishing and you want to switch to a lure, you want to find it. Same
Right.
sort of thing. You're probably sitting at a desk, you got maybe a magnifying glass here, lights there, and like, you have various tools. You don't want to be digging around in a box for it. Like
Correct.
you need it right there. So yeah, yeah, makes sense.
There is a good lesson in here, though. I'm not sure exactly how I want to frame this, but you said there's way too, just the fishing analogy, right? You have all these things. When it is your hobby, you you can justify collecting a lot more things too, right? Because it's going to have some sort of aesthetic value. At worst case scenario, just being there, and you still have it, whether it turns into money or you actually get fish. Um, but in this case, what I'm wondering is, from somebody who might conceptually think of something, did you look at this almost like the 80-20 rule? Like, what's the 20%, I'll just, like, say you got an electronic, you're an electrician, you got 100 tools in there. You probably only use 20 of those tools most of the time. And really, you probably only use 4 of those tools most of the time. So in your process, say, of choosing Ecwid as uh, the store that you were going to sell this on, did you kind of keep that in mind? Like, I'm going to start with just a couple products, and then as I find how these other people who enjoy this hobby, other things they might want, then I will expand into other products? Or did you even really think about that at the beginning?
That was a massive decision for using Ecwid. When I first started, I probably had 3 or 4 things that I designed, and I had been posting them on like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And people said, "Hey, where can I get one of those?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess I could sell you one." And I was sending them, direct PayPal links for them via invoices to send me payments for them, and I would ship them off to them. And then more people asked. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is crazy. I'm thinking maybe there's a enough demand in this community that I could probably start a store." And I looked at all the major competitors, and they all, in my day-to-day life, I'm a web design and marketing person. That's what I do for a living. So I'm quite familiar with all the e-commerce platforms that are out there. And we have customers that are on other e-commerce platforms as well, and we have some that are on Ecwid. Um, and the one thing that really struck me about Ecwid was it's a no risk solution to test out selling products, to see if what you're selling is something people actually want. Um, and I think that's the hardest thing when you're creating a product is you like it, but just because you like it doesn't mean anyone else will. And with Ecwid's 10 free products, at the beginning, and the fact that it integrated into PayPal super easy, which I already was using for payment processing, um, it was a huge thing for me. And the other thing I loved about Ecwid is, as a web designer, I knew that I could create a good looking website with all this extra content I wanted to have. I wanted full control of my website. Um, and a lot of other e-commerce platforms don't give you that. If you wanted to have a contact form on that, you have to use some form of their contact form software, or you have to, bend to the will of what inputs they allow you to put on there. And integrating into other e-commerce platforms also means you're dealing with a lot of, and this is getting a little technical, but you're dealing with a bulk of code you will never use. There's a lot of JavaScript libraries included. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you may never touch just to make their cart function. And what I loved about Ecwid was it was as simple as adding a script tag to my site of a page I created, and my products just loaded into my site. I didn't have to worry about, you know, just to make a change to a homepage or to create a custom content page. I didn't have to jump through hoops using their website builder to do it. I could just create it the way I knew how to do it in HTML. And every change I make to my website has zero concern that I'm going to mess up anything on the e-commerce side of it, because that's all hosted off server at the Ecwid servers, and the integration is ridiculously simple. So I mean, you can take it as far as you want, like I did, using custom SEO URLs. Or if that's not up your alley and you're just getting started, just throw the widget on, throw the cart widget on, and you're done. And it just works.
Yeah, that's a great. I Starting back at the beginning, that's how a lot of people end up getting started. Is, I sold a couple things on whatever, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, forums, and then you send a few PayPal links, right? And then you're like, okay, this is starting to get annoying because you got to track. You're like, okay, what's their address again? And so then we're a nice little easy step up from that, like, which is just a very, hey, here's a link, pay me. Now you've taken it to the extreme, and I know it's we have like various sets of customers. Some people that are like keep it super basic and they love Ecwid because it's super basic, or people like you that just kind of like to hack everything, I guess, right? And want to build everything custom to their site and love Ecwid that it can just own this little piece. And I'm looking at your site, 3D locksport, for people that are are able to look it up right now. There's a variety of widgets on here. So you're doing a lot on, it's a site, but there's a various widgets that are doing different things. I thought maybe we could talk about kind of your, pluses and minuses of various widgets you have on here. I mean, and of course, I'd love to talk about Ecwid, but I talk about Ecwid all the time. So I'm curious about some of the other things on here. We have there's a carousel. What is there a widget on here that you couldn't live without?
A widget that I couldn't live without.
Like you got Facebook Messenger here. Like, is that?
I mean, so Facebook Messenger is one of those funny things, right? I'm not a fan of Facebook Messenger as far as customer support or customer questions, and I'll tell you exactly why that is. If you are not logged into Facebook and someone messages you, it comes through as guest some random number as the name.
Guess
And if
3465.
you don't respond within a certain period of time, that conversation is over.
Yep.
Because it expires out. And Facebook, I rely on the Facebook business app, business suite app they have on my iPhone to alert me when those messages come up. And I'm one of those, I'm a programmer and I'm a night owl. So, I'll get messages that'll come through across at 2:00 in the morning and I'll respond to them. So I'm one of those people who never, you can set up Messenger. Messenger, don't get me wrong, it has its plus and minuses, and you can configure it with autoresponders and things like that, which are great. And you can set the times that you are present to answer questions and times you are not present to answer questions. I just never say I'm not present because normally I'm available. And that's probably my biggest gripe with it is that by the time I get a notification on my phone that someone filled out that messenger, if they're not signed into Facebook, so I don't know who they are, they're gone. They're off my site now, and they may never get alerted again that I responded to them. So there is that, and I have been looking into other options, but it gets used so rarely on my site. I'll maybe get 4 to 5 messages a week, and to me that's rare. That it's not a big deal to me. I mean, the most commonly used form of contact is my contact form on my website. So people are filling that out and emailing me, and that's just the easiest because people on Messenger. I don't want to say that the people using Messenger aren't probably what you're looking for a customer, but I'll get questions as like, "What are the prices of your products?" And I'm like, "They're on the site." Like,
Oh,
what
yeah, we've had
product
our
are we talking
experiences
about?
with those.
Yeah, so a lot of them I think are actually spam being used possibly, where it's like, what are the prices of your products? It's like, that's a weird question because I have like, I don't even know how many products I have now, but a lot. And so they all vary, and they vary based on options you select. So I need more context. So I would say, I mean, you have to realize in my mind, Ecwid is a widget on my site.
Yeah.
So the one I can't live without is Ecwid. Plain and simple, it's what makes the site make the money.
All right, I'm going to
We
send
have
you
our
five.
quote.
Yeah, I'm going to send you $5 via PayPal here for that. So.
We have
No,
our
but
quote
it's
for the
honest. It's
teaser of the
honest. I mean,
show.
before I decided to use Ecwid, I literally had given the concept of the website I have now, and I was just going to add custom code to put products up with different images, and then I was going to add PayPal button code for every single product. And then I got into realizing how many I'm going to offer 12 different colors. There's different options to select, and if I want to make a change to something, I have to go out into the wild of PayPal and make a change to that button and update it. And that was fine when I had 4 products. But then the minute I got to, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 15 products, I'm like, this would be a nightmare to manage. Not to mention, Ecwid makes it awesome for managing the order processing. The fact that when I can, because one thing a lot of people don't realize is that when you have products that are in stock, it's usually order placed, awaiting processing, and then shipped. That's usually about the order you're going to most likely use because you're going to take it, you're going to put it in a box, you're going to add the tracking number and mark it as shipped. Mine actually utilizes massively with Ecwid the processing. So you have to realize when someone places an order with me, as soon as I hit print on my printer, I log into Ecwid and I switch the processing to processing. And they now know that when they get that email, their print is being printed. Um, and as soon as from there, the next step is going to be shipped. And that's the order. And some of my products take 24 hours to print. They're huge. So they can take a full day to print. I had one person place an order. It was almost a good week till I shipped it because it took that long because they ordered like 6 very large things and it took a total of 6 days to print everything that they ordered. Um, so little tools like that are great. They're indisposable to me because I actually use Ecwid's processing as my part of my return policy or cancellation policy. So if you look at my policies or my frequently asked questions on my website, it's like I place an order with you, can I cancel my order? And I explicitly say, as long as you have not received an email saying that your print has begun processing, you can cancel your order at any time. But the minute I start printing your print, it's too late to cancel that order because I'm now physically I could be almost done with the print or it could be done and I haven't shipped it yet. At that point, I have a custom item you custom ordered and I can't just sell it to anybody. So that point you're past the cancellation policy.
Yep. Oh, interesting. No, it's good to know. Like, and the order processing is something people don't think about, particularly on the front end, right? Like,
Right.
You just want to sell some stuff and you just assume it will just magically be easy and there's no such thing as returns or cancellations and, but all not true. Like there is work to be done after that money appears in your PayPal account. Like,
Sure.
so yeah, good to know on that. Yeah. How do you ship? Do you use the labels out of Ecwid or?
I don't.
Okay. That's
Um,
fine, by the way. You don't have to.
I've actually been in contact with support agents about this as well. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. I've actually tried it and it works absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
I kind of have a process where because the only form of payment I accept is PayPal,
Mhm.
every order that comes in via PayPal, I can create the shipping label right out of PayPal. And that's why I do. It's an easier process. I can log in, I can verify the transaction within PayPal, and I can just hit print label, and it just goes. So that it's just not saying it's better or worse. The pricing between PayPal and Ecwid is comparable enough that you could use either of them.
Yeah.
My workflow has been kind of set in grain for a year, and you guys didn't come out with the labels till a couple months ago, I think, and I'd already been just so ingrained in using my methodology that I've just stuck with it.
No, totally get it. We talk about labels a lot because it's fairly new for us. So anyway,
Now, if
yeah.
you guys could offer the ability for me to put my own custom logo on my label through your store,
Ah,
I will use it.
okay. Noted. All right. Well, yeah, it's everything's in development on the label
That's
stuff.
right.
So
That's right.
good to know. Yeah. All right, Richie, I'm sure you got some questions here that I'm not thinking of.
Oh, I mean, I literally could talk to Tony for a while here, especially knowing he's a developer as well. I want to keep it, you know, kind of entry level, but there's some lessons to unpack there too. Um, and there's just so many. Sometimes I want to jump in and interrupt just so I won't forget the last one. But I would say, you know, if we kind of recap a little bit here, what we've gotten from Tony is that um, if you start with your passion, something that you love, all these things that still are easy to do still take work, right? So you keep praising Ecwid on how so many things are easy, but you still have to do them or it's not going to work, right? And you can build this store, and if you don't let people know about it, um, you know, good luck selling anything. You're just a beautiful billboard in the desert. So what I would actually love, the one thing we haven't covered is, what are you doing to get the word out? Do you go to community forums and let people know? Do you just answer questions and they see it in your, your signature? How do you handle getting more people to your site? Do you do it organic or do you do paid advertising? What's your approach on that?
all frozen up here. We got some post-production work here.
Interesting.
Let's let him get back on. I guess. Wade, if you want to note the time here, we got a little.
Okay. Do you want me to kick him off?
Yeah,
yes.
maybe kick him off, and then I'll just say come back on for the close, and we'll just kind of.
And we can talk about kick him off. We're going back on for that, and we can talk about a little bit of marketing. I think that's a good way to close it. He can maybe reference his post on Ecwid sellers and.
Okay, it turns out if I remove him, he can't rejoin, but it looks like he removed himself.
Okay. Even better then.
Yeah.
You didn't have to kick him out.
It wasn't me.
Hopefully he comes back though. So if not, maybe I should record myself saying, no, that was awesome. Just now I'm all inspired. I'm gonna go buy a 3D printer. Man, thanks so much. Thank you guys. We'll have Wade like he's Tony in the background.
We'll probably get him back on here. But I guess backup plans here. I did want to talk about his little we probably won't have time for this little widget on the bottom. His little like 5. I bet you it's what, we'll skip that. Yeah, we'll do a little marketing and close it up. Put Wade to work on some post-production, stitching this together.
I know how to hack and slash and cut and paste.
Oh man, Jess, like
the Facebook Messenger thing. I could go on that forever because I have the same problem. Like, dumb questions. How much is it? Like, look at the goddamn site.
Right, you're on a site. You're on the site that this button is on.
You know what I think? As he's saying it, I think he has the same problem. Like, people are on it on their mobile, and this chat on a mobile takes up so much room. So then people are like, how much is this? And you're like, close this damn,
But you can't close the window, right?
Yeah, but and then also the thing is, so when I'm looking at a desktop, you click the minus sign to close it. When you're on a whatever, on a phone, you click an X. It's super annoying. Anyway, all right, Tony, we told Wade we're gonna put him to work on post-production here.
Screened, so my computer really decided it wasn't happy with what I was saying.
Wow, yeah.
I had to do a full reboot.
Now, I'm not saying that Mark Zuckerberg controls everything, but you dared badmouth Messenger.
It's possible. You never know.
They shut you down. It's getting a little. The video doesn't look great. I don't know if we want to give that a second to catch up.
Yeah, it might be that. Give me a second here.
It seems a little teeny lower too, but that just might be my side. I'll leave that up to Wade.
It definitely seems lower quality. Like, I mean,
let me check the software.
And I don't hear him as much. Do you, Jesse?
Let me check some settings here.
Okay. Now, Richie's got some Hollywood experience, so he is like, what do you call it, Richie? The consistency. What's the people that just worry about the continuity? Yeah, continuity is like, oh man, we gotta move this and.
Oh yeah, one of my best friends it's perfect job for her because she's borderline OCD, and it's just you name it for like on really big shows too. So like that you came in, the door was open, the door wasn't closed, the toaster was up, and the toast was the toast is gone.
Maybe that's what's causing choppy. I mean, I have Docker running on my computer, and during a reboot, everything comes up and just starts going again.
We'll give that a second. Yeah, because the audio seems quieter. It's not the end of the world if we, give it a minute or so.
And we're about to wind it down anyway. That was segue to like, hey, just lots of stuff to think about, lots of stuff to do and get to work. So we're once we do get you rocking here, we're only like 5 to 7 minutes from being done.
Yeah, I can't see anything else I can change to make anything better, unfortunately.
Okay.
I can bring the mic closer to my mouth, and that helps with sound quality.
What do you think, Wade? Can you do it on your side a little after? Or it won't. It's not going to be much of the show, so it won't matter. It's pretty much the end.
I can enhance his volume, uh, but it's just going to make louder, whatever quality that is. But
Yeah,
we'll do
that's
what we
fine.
can.
It is what
Yeah,
it is.
it's all good. And so I don't know
Does
if
that
you heard
sound
the.
better now? No.
Not
Okay.
not really. No. I mean, it is what it is what it is. Like it's
Okay.
so Richie, you can kind of finish off. You redo your question, and
Yeah.
we'll
So
chop it after your question. So give a break.
yeah. So more or less, it's a little bit, probably a little paraphrased here, but more or less, I was saying, hey, this is awesome. You've given us all kinds of things to think about, but if you're just building it, there's marketing to be done too. So what is it that you're doing? Are you going into forums and doing it organically and just answering questions and being helpful and people are asking? Are you placing ads? So really it's just more of a kind of, what are you doing when it comes to the marketing piece?
Sure.
And in whatever way you want to answer it, you don't have to specifically go
No,
into
that's
what
fine.
I just said, because it was kind of paraphrased anyway.
So an analogy I like to use is that if you started a brick and mortar store and filled your store full of items for sale, but you never put a sign on your front door or a sign above your building saying the name of your company and what you sell, no one's ever going to stop in to purchase anything from you because they won't know you exist. Um, and this is a question I answer a lot of times online is, you know, what can I do? I have no like advertising budget, no marketing budget. What are my options? I have spent a total of $1.47 on online marketing as far as ads, pay-per-click ads, and that was on Facebook only. I ran like a week's worth for it, but I targeted it down to specific groups, and I'm in such a niche that it makes it very easy to do so. But I would say that 95% of all my sales, in the beginning at least, were all social media. So my suggestion is this: whatever niche that you're in, there is a Facebook group for it. I don't care how obscure it is, there is a Facebook group for it. Join every single group you can for that niche. Please read the rules of that group before you start spamming them with your for sale links. Um, but a lot of those groups will allow you to post links to your things, and don't make them sales even. Just say, hey, check out what I made. I thought you might be interested in this. I use it for this purpose. Talk about how you use it, but be honest, full disclosure in it that this is your product. Don't try, if you try to pull one over on someone saying, look at this cool product I found online, you should go buy it, you'll be found out. There's too many internet sleuths out there to not know that it's you posting it. Um, and the other big one is Reddit. Now, Reddit can be controversial. We'll just use that word. Um, but again, there's a subreddit for everything. For example, I'm actively posting in Reddit/r// lockpicking, and that's where my opening announcement was on that page, and I got 50-50 response. Some people are like, "Who needs that plastic crap?" And everyone else is like, "Oh, that's the coolest stuff I've ever seen." Um, so it's that, and um, there's so many tools you can use that are absolutely free that I use. So Hootsuite, you can get a free account for up to 3 different social media platforms. I post to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Uh, and it's absolutely free to use for those three. It lets you schedule your posts out. So you can if you have a sale coming up or a new product launch, you can put it together at 10 o'clock that night. And then using your own research, find out the best time of day for that to post for your genre of product, um, and schedule it to post. And another great tool, MailChimp. Love MailChimp. I also love that Ecwid now inherently integrates with MailChimp without a plugin, which is great. Um, so MailChimp is fantastic for emailing your past customers or new customers. Put something on your site to sign up for a newsletter. I get so many sales from that. Just from when there's a new product launch, I can email everyone who's bought from me before to let them know there's a new product out, and I get a ton of sales. Plus, Mailchimp lets you see how successful that campaign you sent was, how much revenue. If you integrate it properly with Ecwid, it will show exactly your ROI on that email. So every bit of marketing I currently do is either done via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, email, and then the big one that a lot of people overlook is YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, only second to Google, which is owned by the same company. Um, you'd be amazed what a video showing your product and use can do for social proof. It's like, this is a product, it's real, I'm using it, this is how it works. Consider getting one for yourself. It answers a lot of the questions. It shows, size comparison. You don't have to use a banana for reference, for size reference. It's like, here's my product in my hands. You see how big it is, and here you can get into really fine detail about what makes your product so great, why they should choose yours over somebody else's. And the comment sections can also help drive questions. And you know, someday someone might be looking for something you're selling and they search it and the YouTube video pops up and they'll be apt to click that because more people want to watch than read. So,
Wow, Richie, I think it's been a long time since we had somebody on that did zero advertising. I'm going to call $1.47 zero advertising, even though little tiny asterisk there. But wow, Tony, that's awesome. I mean that you have, it's a niche product, so you found your niches. But I think you said it as well. Like, no matter what, there's a subreddit, there is a Facebook group for what you're doing. And actually, if there's not one, maybe you picked a bad niche, because there's a niche for everything. Like, there's a subreddit for everything. So,
and just to build on that, for Twitter and Instagram, the most important things everyone always overlooks, and I hate saying this because it just sounds so cliche, hashtags. Hashtags are your keywords of the social world. When someone searches for something, if it's a hashtag, Twitter and Instagram will start auto completing those hashtags for you, and use those to your advantage. As you add a hashtag, I believe, I can't remember if Twitter does it, but I think Instagram does it. They might both. It tells you how many posts are there for that hashtag. So if I go to type locksport, there's a heck of a lot less hashtags with that than there are lock picking or just lock picks. So I choose my hashtags based on the feedback the platform is giving me to tell me what'll be better.
yeah. Now, when you do that, you mentioned Hootsuite. So I'm assuming you use Hootsuite to plan out your, various social media, posts and such. Do you get that feedback in Hootsuite, or do you have to do that natively to figure out the hashtag count and such?
I do it natively, but
Mhm.
because I've been doing it long enough now, I kind of just know my hashtags. It's like I pretty much add them to everything. So yeah, in the beginning it was like, oh, I'm gonna throw 300 hashtags on here and hope one of them sticks, and that's annoying. I mean, you've seen those posts where there's like 80 hashtags, and you're just like, oh god, there's more hashtag than there is content.
Yeah.
So I usually stick to 3 or 4 hashtags that I think will be the most beneficial to me, and for me that is usually locksport, lock picking, lock picks, and then if I'm doing a giveaway, I'll put hashtag giveaway. If I am doing a sale or new product, it'll be like hashtag new product or new release. Or if it's something very specific, I might have like hashtag lockpick stand. Something along those lines. That will work. So
Okay. Now, I could let you off the hook and just be like, all right, guys, everybody just post on social, post on YouTube, right? But the next question is always like, what do I post on, the various social platforms or YouTube? Because this is where people get stuck. They're like,
right.
I know I need to tweet, I need to hashtag, but what, right? Like, so I mean, maybe an example of what you have to kind of get people's mind going.
Sure. Unfortunately, there's not a straight answer to that because it's going to depend on the niche you're in and the product you're selling. For example, if you're selling women's cosmetics or clothing, your post is going to be very different. The one thing I can tell you above all, and this goes for your website, this goes for your marketing, this goes for everything, get quality images. I can take a plain white background And if I hired the top end photographer, all I would need is pictures to make the most beautiful website you've ever seen. Um, and that goes for social media too. If you take your cell phone out and throw your product on your kitchen counter and snap a photo at an angle and then throw 6 filters on it to make it every other color under the rainbow, that is not a good photo. You do not need a $5,000 Canon 5D Mark III camera to take good photos. If you have a phone that is 3 years old or less, you have a high definition camera sitting there. What's important is lighting, background, and exposure. So, and or focus, excuse me, not exposure, focus. Uh, I think for 20 bucks on Amazon, I bought this little white pop-up like photo
Oh,
light box. It's got 2 LED strips across the top. I put all, if you look at all my products, they're all taken in there. I put them in, turn the lights on, take the photo with, and every product photo on my website is off my iPhone, every single one. I bought a cheap little tripod that holds my phone with a little clamp thing. I think all in all, I spent maybe $40 on photo taking equipment off Amazon. Um, Now, I'm very um, familiar with Photoshop, so I use Photoshop to take the photos, make the backgrounds look good, adjust the lighting, brightness, and contrast. But you can get a Photoshop subscription, just Photoshop, I think for 10 bucks a month, which is super cheap. And if you can't use Photoshop, there's free software called GIMP. It's GIMP is a free Photoshop. It's open source. It's a little more complicated to use. And if you don't have that, there any photo editing software, you can edit it right on your phone. Your iPhones now, the photo software, you can adjust brightness and contrast right there and save them all. Um, and it's fantastic. Like, your photos are the most important thing, and that goes for social media. The other concept is with YouTube, as dumb as it sounds, thumbnails are the most important thing on YouTube. Your description doesn't mean anything because no one's going to read it. They're scrolling through an ocean of videos and they see a cool thumbnail that grabs their attention. They may not even know what it's about, but the thumbnail drew them in. Like, if you look at 1 or 2 videos ago of mine, it's like an old comic book girl going, like, like the Macaulay Culkin hands on the side of the face, like, oh wow, and it's like tons of new product releases is the text I put on it, and that was it. And I got good clicks on that because people are like, oh, what is this? And then the other important thing is cross promoting. So when I post to YouTube, I also link that out on every social media platform that I posted a new video. I shoot an email out um, to all my subscribers that I have a new video up, those kinds of things. And a little marketing tip for your customers is give exclusivity to your newsletter subscribers, or at least advance notice. That's what I always do. If you subscribe to my newsletter, you get advance notice of all new product releases at least 24 hours before I post them to social media. And if I do anything with like coupon codes or anything like that, same thing. You get them in my email before you'll ever get them on social media. And that's just like a thank you for subscribing. And it, in today's world, email's a currency. So they're giving you something. You need to give them something back in exchange for that.
Yeah, I really like that because you need the subscribers, particularly since you don't advertise as well. Like,
Right.
You need email subscribers, and that's the thank you for giving me your email and letting me occasionally spam you. I will give you something. So yeah, awesome. All right, Richie, any last questions here? I know we could talk all day long.
yeah. No last questions. I'd just like to reiterate a few things that Tony said, just really struck home with me. Um, and the basics, that there's nothing wrong with starting with a passion. Although we know you could just sell XYZ widget and make a margin, as we've heard, it takes work. And if you actually enjoy it, the odds are you're going to probably put in that work. And I also heard a lot in there, even though we're trying to make sales, we want to really serve our communities. And so going into these Reddits and helping people figure certain things out that may or may not have anything to do with your product, but it has to do with the community. Whether your signature says something interesting, like that says 3D lock sport, or in your profile picture, it says something, like it's just a great reminder to, although there's many different paths that lead to entrepreneurship, that a super, super niche down product that serves a super, super niche down community, you can still be bringing in revenue. And at worst case scenario, you can start buying yourself more things for your hobby. If not, turn it into a wonderful business for your family. So I'd say let's use this motivation and get to work. And thanks for coming on the show, Tony. It was fantastic having you on.
Absolutely.
And I would ask if anyone wants to know more about 3D Lock Sport, or if they want to know more about how possibly you could help them with their Ecwid stores, feel free to wherever you would like someone to learn more about you or how to connect with you, feel
Sure.
free to share.
So if you want to check out my 3D Locksport products, if Locksport's something that interests you and you want some more information, you can visit 3dlocksport.com. If you don't know anything about Locksport and want to get into it, hit me up via the contact form, and I'm happy to answer non-product related questions just about getting into the sport, that I love, the hobby that I love. And if you have an Ecwid store and you want to be able to do some things that aren't just point and click within that Ecwid store, hit us up at our marketing website and development website, which is imaginemore.com. And that's imagine with an E. So it's EMAGINEMORE.com. Because we can take the development a little further through the API, as well as some custom code that we've written to just, enhance the already amazing cars that Ecwid is.
Awesome. All right. So everybody out there, if you're looking for a new sport, you got 3dlocksport.com, and we'll put the link here. It's imaginemore.com with the E. So Tony, this was awesome. I think we learned a lot. For people out there listening, you know what to do next. Get out there and make it happen.
Hey, this is Jesse and Rich. We want to let you know we really appreciate you listening.
We hope you find the tips we give you helpful for growing your business.
You can find all of our past episodes and a lot more useful stuff at ecwid.com/podcast.
And also, check us out on your favorite podcasting platform like Apple Podcast or Stitcher, and make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing.
Be sure to let us know what you think by rating and reviewing so we can serve you better.
So subscribe on your favorite platform.
And come join our community, check out the transcripts, or tell us why you would be a great guest at ecwid.com/podcast.